Did you know that around 67% of men and 25% of women would rather give themselves an electric shock than sit alone with their thoughts for 15 minutes? Now that's a shocking revelation, isn't it? In the year 2014, psychologist Timothy Wilson and his colleagues undertook an intriguing experiment. Participants were left alone in a room devoid of distractions for a quarter of an hour, with nothing but a device that could administer a self-induced electric shock. What unfolded next was truly mind-boggling. A significant number of the participants, finding themselves engulfed by the deafening silence of solitude, chose to shock themselves. This startling result throws light on an interesting facet of human nature. We, as a species, seem to prefer negative stimulation to the vacuum of no stimulation at all. Imagine that, choosing pain over boredom. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? So, how did this intriguing experiment unfold? Let's delve into the fascinating world of psychology to uncover the truth. The year was 2014, when psychologist Timothy Wilson and his colleagues decided to test the boundaries of human tolerance for boredom. Their experimental setup was simple, yet effective. They chose a room devoid of any distractions. No colorful paintings on the walls, no windows offering a glimpse of the outside world, no music, no books, not even a ticking clock. Just a plain, unadorned room with a single chair for the participant. Each participant was asked to enter this room and sit alone for 15 long minutes. 15 minutes might not seem like a lot, but imagine it without your phone, without any form of entertainment, with absolutely nothing to do but to sit and be alone with your thoughts. It's a different ballgame altogether, isn't it? Now here's where things get interesting. The participants were given a unique option, an option that could break the monotony, but at a price. They could administer an electric shock to themselves. Yes, you heard right, an electric shock. This wasn't any severe, life-threatening shock, but it was definitely unpleasant. The question was, would they choose to endure the quiet emptiness of the room, or would they opt for a jolt of discomfort to break the silence? Would they prefer the deafening silence of their own thoughts, or the sharp sting of an electric shock? The results were startling. Many participants, to the surprise of the researchers, chose the latter. They decided to shock themselves rather than sit in silence. This suggested that humans, when faced with the prospect of absolute boredom, might prefer negative stimulation over no stimulation at all. So, here's a thought to ponder. So many of us might say, I'd never do that. But when faced with the deafening silence of your own thoughts, who knows what choices you might make? It's a curious insight into our need for stimulation and the lengths we may go to avoid the discomfort of boredom. But what do these shocking results actually mean? What do they tell us about ourselves? The results of this electrifying experiment reveal a profound insight into the human condition. They suggest that we, as humans, have an inherent drive for stimulation. It appears that we crave engagement, interaction, and activity to the extent that we'd opt for a negative experience over none at all. This can be a startling revelation to many, but when you think about it, isn't it something we see every day? How often do we find ourselves scrolling aimlessly on our phones, watching mindless television, or even engaging in harmful behaviors, simply to escape the quiet lull of boredom? The study conducted by Timothy Wilson and his colleagues shines a spotlight on this fascinating aspect of our psyche. It shows that when left alone, with nothing but our thoughts, we seek out some form of stimulation, even if it's unpleasant. But why would we do this? Why would we prefer discomfort over tranquility? The answer may lie in our evolutionary past. Perhaps in a world full of threats and challenges, our ancestors needed to stay alert and active to survive. This need for constant stimulation might have become hardwired into our brains. It seems then that we humans are hardwired to seek stimulation, even if it's at the cost of our own comfort. So next time you find yourself reaching for your phone just because you're bored, think about this experiment. It paints a fascinating picture of human behavior, shedding light on our almost desperate need for stimulation. It's a stark reminder of how we, as a society, often opt for negative stimulation over none at all. So the next time boredom strikes, rather than seeking instant gratification, why not embrace it? Remember, sometimes it's okay to just be with your thoughts. Who knows, you might even enjoy it.